All right there, everybody. Dr. Alex Vidan here, and man, we got some really crazy news that just dropped out, like just came out of nowhere, and I mean this is really cool. So the Department of Homeland Security just came out, and they came out with a brand new thing that just dropped out here on March 28th. It's being disseminated around. I want to make sure I shared it with you because it's saying, look, this is for immediate release and make sure that people know about this. And the U.S. Department of Homeland Security just released the issuance of, they're saying that, and I've got the report right here with my little highlights and everything, but it says that they're identifying essential critical infrastructure workers during the COVID-19 response, which I think is really cool that they're kind of giving a list of what's going on. So basically, the president issued an updated coronavirus guidelines for America that highlighted the importance of critical infrastructure workforce. And what does that mean for us, right? So what do these things mean? And I'm even going to talk about how Harvard ties into this and everything there too, and then what that means for you for care and all those kind of things. So basically, they're coming out with these guidelines to look at it and the idea of who's essential critical care and who should be out there doing these things, because they want to make sure that they're protecting communities while ensuring that the continuity of functions critical to public health and safety are present, right? So what's that really mean? Like, what does that mean? What's that mean for you? What does that mean for us? What does that mean for all of this, right? Well, it's basically stating that chiropractors are primary healthcare providers who provide essential care, including but not limited to managing acute and urgent musculoskeletal conditions. So when I say musculoskeletal conditions, a lot of times people are thinking like musculoskeletal, neuromusculoskeletal, but they're like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does that really mean? Well, yeah, it means the muscle and the skeletons and the joints and the nerves and all those kind of things and how all that stuff ties in together. But what does that really mean whenever we're talking about it from a patient's point of view, and what does that look like? Well, from a patient's point of view, that's one where they're looking at and go, well, what does that mean to me? Yeah, it means pain, it means dysfunction, it means that kind of stuff. How can that show up in my life? Well, that can show up a couple different ways. That can show up looking like things like neck pain or sciatica, like shooting pain places. That can show up like things like back pain. That can show up of, things like headaches and migraines and all that kind of stuff, where we've got some type of thing where really what's happening there is that it's an area where the body isn't functioning the way that it's supposed to, typically resulting because of the fact that there's a problem in the nervous system, right? When people think chiropractors, they think things like neck pain, back pain, but really we're here to help with a whole lot more than that, which is what this is talking about. In fact, when we're looking at that too, like it was really interesting just on the low back pain side, right? So just on that, like what did Harvard Medical School through their Harvard Health Publishing, what did they share? Well, they shared the fact that they said, look, low back pain is one of the most common complaints on the planet. They mentioned the fact that 85% of people experience back pain severe enough to make sure that they're seeing a doctor, whether or not that's a doctor of chiropractic or a medical doctor. And it went on to say this, there's a lot of causes for things like low back pain. Most common injuries include things like muscle or tendon injuries, like strains, right? So injury to the back ligaments, things like sprains, but also herniated or slip disc. That's where you think about like a herniated disc or a slip disc that you hear people talk about. This is all coming from Harvard, so I'm reading it right off of there. This is Harvard Medical School, Harvard Health Publishing is where they're saying on this. They said, here's the thing though. They said, when you're wondering like where to turn for this stuff, since you shouldn't try to diagnose your own back pain, good call, make your first call to a professional who can assess your problem, such as your medical doctor. There's a problem with that, though, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. Or a chiropractor, a doctor of chiropractic. Both can serve as an entry point for back pain, and 35 to 42% of people with their first episode of back pain are going to consult a doctor of chiropractic. Now, here's the problem. I mentioned that there's a problem with going to see your medical doctor. Right now, specifically, here is the problem. The problem is that they're already having enough problems right now with having people come into them for a lot of other issues where they're concerned about things like, am I suffering from things like COVID-19, coronavirus, like what's going on? They're concerned with things like, how is it that I'm going to get the care that I need, but I can't get into my medical doctor because I don't want to go in that office. We're getting medical doctors that are referring to our office that would consistently do that, but now it's even more so because they're just saying, look, if these people don't need to come to our office, we need to send them someplace else. Again, while we're essential healthcare providers, I'll talk about more of that in a second. Here's the cool thing that Harvard Health talks about too. They say chiropractors use posture exercises and hands-on spinal manipulation adjustments to relieve back pain, improve function, and this is a direct quote from there, help the body heal itself. Imagine that. Your body's meant to heal itself. Pretty amazing, right? Well, I was talking about, like, we know that these are great things for things like back pain and everything else, and we understand that. And, you know, if you've had problems with back pain and you've been to see a chiropractor, you've probably seen great results. Here's the thing, though, what we don't often think about is this, is that right now, our baseline for stress has elevated to a whole new level. Like our just baseline of what we're dealing with on a daily basis. We're just into so many different things right now. We're watching so much that it's really getting to a place to where our headspace is just, the level of stress is much higher. We're working from home now, right? We've got kids at home too. We're trying to juggle everything. It's all the other stress of everything else and constantly seeing bombarded with all these other things. Well, I was just on NBC. I was just on the news here in St. Louis talking about, and I'll be sure to share it too, talking about how we through chiropractic can help with things like, and the research that's out there that helps with things like stress, and how getting an adjustment can help with that. Getting a spinal manipulation, right? A spinal adjustment can help with things like, they've registered things like cortisol levels. Cortisol is a lot of times associated with things like your stress hormone. So they looked at that stress hormone and said, well, this is what it looks like before an adjustment. This is what it looks like after the adjustment. Also, a study that was done right here locally in St. Louis, I'm here in St. Louis, that was done here, they said they looked at heart rate variability. Well, Harvard talks about the fact that heart rate variability might be one of the best ways for us to determine what's going on with how someone handles stress. So they looked at, on this other study here that was done locally in St. Louis, they looked at this stress hormone or this heart rate variability, and they said, this is what it looks like before they get adjusted. This is what it looks like after they get adjusted. And they looked at the improvement, and they looked at how much better their heart rate variability changed because of getting an adjustment. Look, here's the thing with all of this, right? So we're going to get back to the Department of Homeland Security. They were basically saying this. They're saying, look, chiropractic care, these services are critical for managing cases that otherwise could end up in emergency rooms, worsening an already difficult situation. That's not what we need, right? Like, we don't need any of that right now. We want to make sure that we're taking the load off of them. That's why we made a choice. My team and I sat down together and we talked about this as a team, and we said, look, do we want to shut down for this or do we want to stay open? And we decided together as a team to say, we're going to stay open so that we can make sure that we're meeting the care for our community, that we're there and we're open. And that's what we decided on. That's what we felt was right. And then now the Department of Homeland Security is coming out and saying that they're wanting us to have those types of options for our community to make sure that we can get out there and we can help more people, because they don't want people going to emergency rooms worsening the situation that's already difficult enough. And from what we've seen, the new patients that we're having come in, that are still coming in now, number one, they're seeing, wow, your office is impeccably clean and everything looks like it's supposed to and everything else, it's all wiped down all the time. We jokingly say to our patients, or our patients say to us, and we're joking back with them, like, man, the the doorknob was wet whenever I walked in, meaning that you had just wiped it off with the Clorox and the Medi-Wipes and all this stuff to make sure that it's totally clean. Like, everything is clean because it's supposed to be that way. That's the way that we're making sure that we keep things in our office so that we can serve our community. We're going to make sure that we're here to take care of you. I know that there's a lot of excellent and great chiropractors, not just here in the US, but throughout the world, that are there serving their communities too. Because I'm blessed that I get to talk to them. I get to talk to a lot of you. And I see right here, like, I'm seeing a couple of awesome docs right here, Emmett and Cordy, that are on there. Gentlemen, thank y'all for being on here. I mean, these are two great docs that are serving in their communities in big ways. And I know that there's a lot of great people that are doing that. We're here to help you however we can. I wanted to share this with you, what the Department of Homeland Security is saying about making sure that chiropractic is an essential service, that doctors of chiropractic are essential service providers. We're here to help you here. If you need help finding somebody anywhere else, reach out to us. We're here to help and help you find somebody that's great for you. Again, I'm Dr. Vidan. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about anything.